The weekend has finally arrived, and something happened this weekend that a lot of people didn't think was a possibility. Becky Lynch did not sign a new contract with the WWE and officially became a free agent as of Saturday. All this and more on what's going on with Becky Lynch and the latest update on her and where she may be headed right here on Off the Scripts. Many people in AEW believe that Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland will be the main event for AEW All In London. I got the latest on what the expectations are when it comes to the main event of their biggest show of the year. And Gable Steveson, the Olympic athlete that WWE brought in and did absolutely nothing with, he is no longer in the world of professional wrestling and is now with the Buffalo Bills of the NFL. Yes, all this plus so much more on a jam-packed episode of Off the Script for your Sunday, June 2nd, 2024. Let's start with AEW. AEW is going to return to London this year, second straight year, all in at Wembley Stadium this August, where they're expected to draw a huge crowd. Not as big as last year, but a big crowd, and probably their biggest crowd of the year by far. Now, before they do that, they have this show called Forbidden Door on Long Island at the UBS Arena, and the World Championship will be on the line. The AEW World title will be defended. Swerve Strickland will defend against probably the number one babyface in the entire company. I guess MJF has something to say about that now that he's back. Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland will be the main event for AEW Forbidden Door. Now, this surprised many people, considering the belief that Wembley would be a perfect spot for Ospreay to challenge and potentially win the AEW World Championship, being that he's from England. Ospreay may win the title from Strickland at this show before defending it against MJF at All In. In the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer reported that he knows there are people within AEW who expect Ospreay vs. Strickland to be the main event at Wembley Stadium. AEW follows up All In with All Out on September 7th from the Now Arena in Chicago, Illinois. This is a change from last year, as All Out took place a week after All In. Now, a lot of people were surprised by this, with the announcement made on Wednesday. Will Ospreay won a very good gauntlet match in the main event of AEW Dynamite, and Tony Khan is going away from the typical Forbidden Door concept with a AEW talent defending the championship against an AEW talent. More times than not, for the Forbidden Door, we see AEW and the World Championship defended against somebody from New Japan. They're not doing that this year. I'm surprised that they are doing this match so soon. And a lot of people have been critical of Tony Khan's last-minute booking, last-minute changes, booking on the fly. I believe all these reports, because you watch the product and you can get a sense of how Tony Khan is operating behind the scenes and how the creative process is working. It doesn't resemble what AEW used to do. AEW, once upon a time, was well thought out. They had a vision, they had a plan, they had steps leading up to what was going to be a big match like this. Now they just give it to you with no rhyme or reason, because Tony Khan is a booker and not a creative writer. Tony Khan has no vision. He is a matchmaker. There is only two ways this goes. Two ways. And I'm going to lay it out for you just like I did on Wednesday night. Swerve wins at Forbidden Door. Having Ospreay beat Swerve at Forbidden Door is absolutely reckless booking. That would be creative malpractice, because you look at Swerve's title reign and there's been nothing of substance there. He's been wrestling every fucking week on television, giving title matches to people that don't deserve title matches. His reign means shit. So all the people out there claiming that the title being defended is bringing prestige, the title being defended as much as Swerve is defending the title, and Swerve wrestling as much as he's wrestling on Dynamite brings prestige to the World Championship. No, it doesn't. All you're doing is overexposing Swerve Strickland and causing a higher risk for injury, and you're also putting the championship on the line against people that don't deserve it. How is that bringing prestige to the World Heavyweight Championship? It's not. It's not. I feel like AEW is giving Swerve everything in this run because they know he's not going to last long as AEW World Champion, so they want to cover their tracks before they take the championship off him so that they can say he had a successful title run, which we all know he didn't, because there's no substance there. There was barely any story in his title run. There's only two ways this goes. One, Swerve beats Ospreay, which I can believe because Ospreay really doesn't need the world championship right now. Swerve beats Ospreay, and the reason why he beats Ospreay is because AEW, they're smart. I hope that they are this smart. They continue to play up the fact that Don Callis is pressuring Will Ospreay to use the Tiger Driver and win the match, win the world championship with the Tiger Driver, and he does not do it, causing him to fail one more time. Mentally fail one more time. I could see that being the case, and Swerve Strickland retains the AEW World Championship. The only thing that I could see coming out of this is two things. Ospreay loses at Forbidden Door. He goes into the Owen Hart Memorial Cup, and he wins the Owen Hart Memorial Cup. The winner of the Owen Hart tournament gets a number one contendership at All In. I could see Will Ospreay failing against Swerve at Forbidden Door, only to win the tournament, go to Wembley, challenge Swerve again fair and square, this time without Don Callis and his interference, and then he wins the world championship there. That's one option. That's the one that I laid out on Wednesday night. The other option would be Tony Khan blows through this match, which I don't really understand why he would do that so soon with no real story. Blows through this match. Swerve wins because I cannot physically comprehend how you would take the title off of Swerve to put it on Ospreay, who just won the international title. So my opinion is going to be Swerve, no matter what, walking out of Forbidden Door as the champion. Swerve beats Ospreay. Same way, same reason. Tiger Driver, he fails, he mentally fails, and he doesn't get the job done. Swerve then goes on to Wembley at All In and wrestles MJF, who would win the Owen Hart Memorial Cup, become the number one contender, get back his world championship, or at least try to get back his world championship. And you do MJF versus Swerve Strickland as the main event for AEW All In London. Because at this point, you know, it's really a toss-up depending on who you talk to, but MJF is the biggest draw in that company. MJF is their biggest star in the company. MJF is their biggest babyface in their company. So why not main event your biggest show with your two biggest stars right now, and that's Swerve and MJF. Either way you look at it, it doesn't look good for Swerve Strickland walking out of London with the World Championship, because if he wrestles Ospreay a second time, he's losing. If he wrestles MJF, he's losing. I could see AEW wanting to put that title right back on MJF because they know that he is the ace and the draw that they have desperately needed for the entire year since he's been out. I don't know where they're going to go. I will say this. The one positive thing to come out of this, that Swerve and Will Ospreay match at Forbidden Door has a nice sense of unpredictability to it, because I can see AEW wanting to put the title on Will Ospreay, but I can't understand or comprehend why they would take the title off of Swerve Strickland. MJF Ospreay 2, MJF Swerve, or I could even see them do MJF versus Will Ospreay, because him being in the World Championship match at AEW All In London just makes too much sense. So I don't really understand where their minds are at, but I guess it's a good problem to have if you got a couple of different avenues that they can go down. Again, my point remains, I don't see Swerve Strickland losing at Forbidden Door and walking out without the championship at Forbidden Door. Becky Lynch, she officially hits free agency for the first time since 2013. Rebecca Quinn, better known to WWE as Becky Lynch, does not have a contract with World Wrestling Entertainment. The deal expired midnight, June 1st, 2024, officially making her a free agent. Now, it was widely speculated that Becky Lynch was planning on taking some time off following her loss to Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 40. However, Ripley went down with injury. She needed to vacate the championship. Then in steps Becky Lynch. She wins a battle royal. They put the championship on her to hold it and keep it warm until she dropped it at King and Queen of the Ring to Liv Morgan. And Liv Morgan is now the WWE Women's World Champion. WWE did this because they wanted a solid name, a big name to hold the championship in the absence of losing somebody who was just as big, if not bigger, in Rhea Ripley. And the Battle Royal, I know a lot of people were like, oh, well, I think Liv Morgan should have won the championship at the Battle Royal. Meanwhile, the optics of it, Liv Morgan beating Becky Lynch in a one-on-one match, was a lot better than her winning a meaningless Battle Royal. The visual pin of Liv Morgan beating Becky Lynch is the way that WWE wanted to go. So that's why they did that. Lynch, like I said, lost her title in Saudi Arabia to Liv Morgan. On this week's edition of Monday Night Raw, Lynch lost the steel cage match, which was awful. Fucking comedy hour. With Liv Morgan. And this was due to Dominic Mysterio being run over by Braun Strowman, which then propelled the steel cage door into Becky Lynch while she was attempting to escape the cage, which then gave Liv Morgan the opportunity to herself leave said steel cage, both feet hitting the floor, and then her winning the championship, or retaining the championship. According to a report from Fightful Select, despite WWE and Lynch having yet to reach terms on a new contract, the promotion is committed to continuing to work with Becky Lynch on a new deal. Sources from within WWE noted to the outlet that Lynch has been class to work with, and those close to both WWE and Becky Lynch herself do not suspect that she will go to AEW. However, it is expected that Becky Lynch will receive significant offers. Fightful Select reports that Becky Lynch is expected to receive one of the highest, if not the highest, paid professional wrestling contracts in female wrestling history. Becky Lynch commanding big money should be no surprise to anybody. From being the last kicker in NXT to becoming the biggest babyface in the promotion, Becky Lynch always stood as a beacon of quality and hard work. There's no question that Becky Lynch is one of the biggest stars of the last decade, and her absence will be felt no matter how long she is out. Now, the AEW discussion obviously is something that's picking up steam because clearly she is not with a WWE contract. The conversation surrounding Becky Lynch's contract expiration has unsurprisingly led people to speculate that she could go to AEW. To be clear, all the current reporting indicates that Becky Lynch will re-sign with WWE at some point. However, until pen hits paper, anything is possible. Now, AEW just brought in Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks left WWE because she wanted more opportunity elsewhere. She also wanted to be paid. Tony Khan paid her, and Mercedes now is the highest paid female in the history of the business. So her going to AEW, Becky, doesn't really make any sense here, because why would Tony bring in Mercedes to only pay Becky Lynch more than Mercedes when the whole reason of bringing in Mercedes was to have her be the beacon of that women's division and the highest paid female in the history of pro wrestling? So you're going to bring in Becky Lynch and pay her less than Mercedes? That's not what Becky Lynch is looking for. Why would she be looking for that? Why would you bring Becky Lynch in to steal the thunder away from Mercedes when the whole fucking reason you brought Mercedes in was for her to be the star of the division? We don't need anybody else coming on in and stealing that thunder. I don't understand why you would do that. Doesn't really make sense as far as a business decision for Tony Khan. Now, during a recent appearance on the Rich Eisen show, Tony Khan was asked about the possibility of Becky Lynch joining AEW. While Khan carefully tiptoed around the subject, he did not want any contract tampering, and he admits that Becky Lynch is a great star. Chris Jericho was asked by TMZ Sports about the prospect of Becky Lynch joining AEW, and he said this, and I quote, "5 years ago, Becky would have no other options. I'm not saying that she's coming in, but there is an option, and who knows what else could happen. No one thought that Jericho would come to AEW. No one thought that Jon Moxley would come to AEW. Nobody thought that Bryan Danielson or Adam Cole or any of these guys would come over to AEW. So it's exciting for the fans. It's exciting for the wrestlers, the talent, because now suddenly, if there's a bidding war, that just benefits us, the talent. So I think it's very, very important. And that's the reason why she opted to let her contract lapse without signing a new one. So now you guys see exactly what Jericho was stating. I know the prospect of AEW landing another WWE talent in Becky Lynch would be a great get for the AEW cultists out there. I'd love to see everybody melt down on one side and praise her on the other after one side shit on her for so long. Now they'd be happy and welcome her with open arms. The hypocrisy would never end in the IWC. Becky Lynch is not going anywhere. Becky Lynch let her contract run out because Seth Rollins is home. She wants to be home with him. He's off the road for probably most of the year. She wants to be home with him. She wants to be home with their daughter. She wants to be home being a mother. That is first and foremost. How many opportunities has Becky Lynch gotten to be at home, in her home, with her family, all together at the same time? I could probably count on one hand how many times they've been at home together. That's number one. Number two, Becky Lynch was afforded time off after WrestleMania. WWE did not allow her to because they X'd her, and she willingly did it because that's who she is, to help the company in the absence of Rhea Ripley become the world champion, help us get through this story, and put over Liv Morgan. She did that. So as far as I'm concerned, Becky Lynch can do whatever the fuck she wants, and Becky Lynch deserves the time off to be at home and do whatever she wants. Third, AEW is only in the discussion, and Becky Lynch let her contract lapse because she will undoubtedly be yielding offers from AEW, and Tony Khan is a money mark. You know that Tony Khan is now able to talk to Rebecca about whatever she wants. And if he wants to make a formal offer, he can. What that offer is going to be, I don't know. I don't see AEW offering Rebecca Quinn more than what they offered Mercedes. I don't see WWE offering Rebecca more than what AEW offered Mercedes. But what I do think is going to happen is Becky is going to offer WWE the opportunity to give her a contract after she uses AEW for leverage. So whatever the amount of money is going to be that Tony Khan is going to offer Rebecca Quinn, for example, if it's 3.5, Becky's going to go back to AEW or WWE rather from AEW. She's going to go and sit down with TKO, Nick Khan, Triple H, and anybody else that she needs to talk to. This guy offered me 3.5. I want 4 plus bonus or whatever else she's going to get. So AEW is going to be able to discuss with Becky, but they're not going to land Becky. AEW will be used as leverage in this contract talk, and Rebecca Quinn would be back with WWE by the end of the year. That's what's going to happen. She's not going anywhere. Why would she need to go anywhere? Her husband signed a contract extension, which is going to keep him in the company for the rest of his career. Why would she want to be away from that when the main reason why she's opted to let the contract lapse is to be with them at home? Why would she want to break up the family dynamic to go to AEW where the grass is certainly not greener on that side anywhere? And she's going to make the same amount of money that she would be in AEW here in WWE. Additionally, other reasons, Becky Lynch, I could see her wanting more opportunity, but I think where she is right now, and she knows that her star is going to be brighter in WWE, I think she remains. And why would Triple H want to lose Rebecca Quinn when he's already lost Mercedes? He's not going to allow the company to lose Mercedes and Becky in the same year. So give me a break with that nonsense. Becky Lynch is staying with WWE, and you AEW cultists need to understand that everybody that's a free agent, they don't fit in AEW. Not everybody's going to fit in AEW. How many of that fan base is going to be upset if Tony Khan actually ends up signing Becky Lynch and brings her on into the company? How much more do you want to move away from the overall vision of AEW? How much money does he have to spend to ruin the image of AEW? I don't even recognize the fucking company anymore. The fan base doesn't want another ex-WWE star coming on in. They want MJF. They want people like MJF and Darby and the OGs. Bringing in another WWE talent only takes an AEW star and positions them lower on the totem pole. And the fan base is looking at, I didn't really want this or expect this to become a WWE fucking has-been landfill. If I want to go watch the alternative, I'll go watch WWE. Why do I need to watch AEW and see WWE all over my screen? Got to keep that in mind as well. How many of you guys would be upset to see Becky Lynch, who a lot of people don't really claim to be good television anyway, over on AEW television? I know if I'm a fan, I would be pretty pissed off about that. So keep that in mind as well. So I think Becky Lynch is staying with WWE, and AEW in this instance would be used nothing more than leverage. Gable Steveson. He is no longer in the world of professional wrestling. He's now with the NFL. So this weekend, news broke that Gable Steveson was signed by the Buffalo Bills, drawing various reactions from fans, media personalities, and others alike. In response to a post on Gable Steveson, former WWE media personality Kazim Famouide, I fucked his name up, I'm sorry, who asked what position Steveson would play, Trevor Lee gave what could only be described as a very blunt answer. Whichever one requires the least amount of work has other people making him look good, I'm assuming. Wait, wrong sport, end quote. So, Gable Steveson thrown underneath the bus by Mr. Trevor Lee, a.k.a. Cameron Grimes. Gable Stevenson's only televised match in WWE came via NXT at the Great American Bash PLE in 2023. He took on Baron Corbin in a one-on-one match. During the match, it was clear that Steveson still had a lot of work to do. The crowd in Austin, Texas that night turned on Gable Steveson and actually made Baron Corbin the babyface. Although becoming a WWE superstar wasn't in the cards for Gable Steveson, the NFL may be the environment he needs. There's no doubt that he's an incredible athlete, and with the right training, an NFL career could work out very well for the University of Minnesota alum. So what I gather from this, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'm a good reader of people's intentions. It almost felt like Gable Steveson almost didn't want to be a professional wrestler. He didn't put the work in, being that Trevor Lee said what he said. He didn't want to put the work in. He wanted to coast based on his body of work previously in the Olympics and who he was and the star power that he garnered from where he was. And he wanted to use the WWE vehicle to basically coast. They knew they were all in on him. He knew that they were all in on him. A big investment was Gable Steveson. He thought he could legitimately get away with doing the minimum work and get all the benefits and reap the benefits from being a WWE superstar. So clearly he was exposed. When he wrestled Baron Corbin, he looked like shit. The match was shit. They had no fucking plans for him. They bent over backwards to give this guy everything and anything he wanted, to get him the proper training. He didn't make it. He didn't cut it. And they let him go. Plus, you got the allegations that he came under fire with the rape allegations back in college, which is something that was never going to escape him, or he would never escape those allegations. They would live with him for the rest of his career, no matter what they did. And if he made it to NXT or the main roster, people would automatically pinpoint that first and foremost over anything. So his career was already going to be a difficult one, having him fight behind all the allegations and people just making claims of that and that alone, not really paying attention to anything else that he did. So I don't think it would have worked out. It's probably going to be the same thing in the NFL for sure. He's going to have murmurs of that, probably even under a bigger microscope, because the NFL and WWE are not on the same wavelength. So it sounds like Gable Steveson wanted to do no work being a WWE superstar. I want to see him take that mentality into the NFL. He'll be cut before the fucking opening kickoff, if that's the case. So he wanted to do the NFL. It's quite the jump from being a WWE superstar, an Olympic wrestler, WWE superstar, all the way to the NFL. I don't know, man. It it almost gets a sense or feels like he did not want to do anything pro wrestling related anymore. Or maybe the NFL was the only thing on his doorstep and he took whatever was available to him. I don't know. Nor do I care. I don't really give a shit what he does. I wasn't excited about him in WWE. I don't really give a shit about him at all in the NFL. I wish him the best. I hope he goes out there, makes a name for himself, and makes himself as much money as possible. But if you're asking me if I give a shit about where Gable Steveson ends up, I don't really give a shit. I felt like it was a big enough story to talk about it here this weekend to wrap up the fucking news. So that's that. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for all your support. If you did enjoy today's episode, let me know what you think down below in the comment section below. It is yours to sound off. What do you think the main event for All In will be? Who do you think will be in the main event for the AEW World Championship? And where do you think Becky Lynch is going to end up? Will it be AEW or will it be WWE? I will have more as the news becomes available. It's been quite slow. The summer months are usually a slog. So make sure you guys keep it here because I will have all the news ready for you when it's available. And tomorrow night we'll be live right after Monday Night Raw right here on Off the Script with the Monday Night Raw post show. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications and go check out all the great streams and all the great videos that were this week. Hit that thumbs up. Strive for 1,000 likes right here on OTS, and I will see you guys right back here with a brand new week starting Monday right here on OTS. I'll see you guys later.